Top of the morning, good people. I like to say that, it's an Irish thing, but it's just fun to say top of the morning to you. And today, since you have indulged me enough to allow me to get up here and express some thoughts to you, thank you for that, by the way. But today, I would like to talk about victory. Now, Webster has it down like this. It is the successful outcome of a contest against an enemy or some kind of competition or against the other team. It is the successful outcome of that. Webster puts it about the same way. They say it is the, you are on top of a given situation, you have defeated an enemy or some kind of contestant in a contest of some kind or another. I would like to take it one step further and say this about victory. It is what you say it is. And there's the story I like to tell of there was this movie I saw that nobody saw but me, and I don't blame you for not seeing it because it's really dark, but it's the story of Henry Hill. And Henry, no, not the cartoon character that you've all known and loved, but Henry Hill was a 13-year-old boy in 1933. We all know the stories about the Depression, and we know times were hard. We don't have any concept of that today because we have never known anything in our generation but peace and plenty. But for Henry Hill, life was a struggle, to say the least. Well, he was in a grocery store one day, and he snatched $5 out of the till, a $5 bill out of the till, and ran out of the store. And why did he do this? To feed his starving sister. His sister was hungry, and I don't mean ready for lunch, I mean hungry. And so the storekeeper chased him down, grabbed him up, took him back to the store, called the cops, or maybe they had a phone, maybe they didn't, but they called the cops got there, and they took him off to jail, and guess what that grocery store was? The town post office. That made it a federal crime. So the judge threw him in jail for 5 years for stealing $5 to feed his starving sister. Now why the storekeeper couldn't give him a few pieces of corn or something is another question I have entirely. Moot point. So he went to prison for 5 years, and in that time, he tried to escape. Well, one of the guys who he tried to escape with ratted him out. And so he just went nuts one day and killed him. So now, he's guilty of murder and killing another prisoner. So they give him another 25 years on top of his sentence. And now he's an incorrigible prisoner. Where did they send him? Alcatraz. So in his time in Alcatraz, he was never one for rules. He didn't get along well with authority, as we've probably guessed by now. And so the warden of the prison threw him in solitary confinement. Now, solitary confinement is considered today to be inhumane punishment, and I would not argue with that for 1 minute. But when he put him down there in solitary confinement, he put him there for 3 years. 3 years! 3 years in solitary confinement. He was let out once a year to get some sunshine or let him wander around the yard. So in the meantime, he's stuck in this hole. No light. They feed him through a hole in the door, and he is stuck in here for 3 years. Somehow, he managed to survive it. To tell you the truth, I don't know that I would have. How he did that, we'll never know, but he did. And so when he finally did get out, a lawyer caught wind of what happened to him. Well, he took the prison to court. And lo and behold, they were found to have inflicted cruel and unusual punishment. So Henry Hill was allowed out of prison, but he was still on for the murder charge. So they threw him back in Alcatraz to the same warden who had put him in there for 3 years. Well, the first thing the warden did was threw Henry in the hole. He put him in, but this time he could only do it for 32 days because too many people were watching to get away with his last crime. And before he could let him do that, old Henry looked that guard, he looked that warden in the face, and he says, "You know what? I win. That means you lose. I am victorious." And so he marched down into that hole, and they let him out in 30 days. And a few months after that, or a few weeks after that, I forget which, one of the prisoners killed him. There's an interesting situation, isn't it? But before he could bleed to death, he scrawled on the floor of his prison cell, "Victory." That was the last word he ever said on this earth. And I submit to you that there was a man who knew the meaning of the word victory. I mean, all he ever wanted was one iota of a fair shake. All he ever wanted was 1 inch of mercy. And he never got it. He didn't want to be a hero, but to this lawyer, he wound up being a hero. And so he was victorious to the degree that none of us, hopefully, will ever know. So I would submit to you that he defined the term for himself, and we define the term for ourselves. So when you're making your way down this little life, some of the things that you may want to accomplish may seem impossible. I mean, if you want to graduate with a 4-year degree and you're just getting started, that's a long time. You want to try to build a building, but you're not an architect yet, so you got to go through the school and you got to find the money and da-da-da-da. And all of these things may seem impossible. But if you declare victories along the way, you can do that. When I was going to school to get my degree, it's a 2-year degree, so I'm not making myself any kind of a hero here. But it got to the point about halfway through, and it says, how long can I keep doing this? And I said to myself, 1 more day. So each day was another slight victory. And that's what we all have to do. Every time you get through a class successfully and get a decent grade, that's a victory. Anytime you solve a problem that had been vexing you, that's a victory. Anytime you get through with a project, a paper, or a thing you have to build, and it works, that's a victory. Now you haven't split the atom, you haven't won the Super Bowl, you can't spike the ball and do your touchdown dance, but you can declare that much. If you do that long enough, you will get where you want to be. I did get my degree, and I did it saying I can do this for 1 more day. I can get through this project, I can get through this, I can get through that. And if you do that long enough, eventually, you just might get to spike the ball and do your touchdown dance. So I'm saying to you that victory is something that is defined by us, who we are, what we want, and the increments that we can use to get where we want to go, and that is victory. Thank you.